Hello, my name is Dr. Allison Jordan. I'm a physician and I am with the American College of Culinary Medicine. And I am going to be showing you how to cut a mango. So, the first thing that you want to do before you cut your mango, and this is our example mango today, is you want to make sure that your cutting board and that your knife are in a good place. So, here I have my cutting board. And if you have one that's going to move around a lot, you may want to put a wet paper towel or a non-grip piece of fabric underneath it so it doesn't move on you. You also want to make sure that you have a really nice sharp knife to work with because a sharp knife is a safe knife. And so you want to make sure that you're holding it correctly so that way you don't have your finger up on top because this will make it unstable. So you want to make sure you've pinched up on it. Your hands have a good grip. So always want to make sure that you're holding your knife correct. Let's get the mango. So here is our mango. And so just want to make sure that you are oriented with the arrangement of your mango. Here is the top. You have this little stem and this is the bottom. So it is kind of an elongated shape. But this is really important when you cut your mango because this is where the seed is. And so what you're going to try to do is cut around the seed. And so you want to make sure that if you're holding it up, that you are oriented so you don't try to cut through the middle. So when you're holding your mango, you're going to be cutting off the cheeks. So I'm going to hold it here with my right hand, hold the knife with my left, and use a claw pattern to make sure that my fingers are not in the way of my knife. And so what I'm going to do is just start on one end and try to cut through it. And what I'm feeling for as I'm cutting is to see if I hit the seed. So if I start to feel resistance as I'm cutting, then that means I've hit the seed and I'm going to need to reposition my knife. So for this side, it goes all the way through. So I did not hit the seed. And sometimes if you're looking at your mango, sometimes you can see a little bit of white and that means that you're pretty close to the seed. Now what I'm going to do is just turn it around. I'm going to put that to the side. And now I'm just going to cut the other side. Again, just taking my time to see where I feel any resistance. Oh, and just got some resistance. So that's okay. I'm just going to remove my knife and just move it out and then try again. And there we go. And so now went through, no problem. And sometimes you can just feel it right here in the center. You're going to have a pretty hard part in the center, and that lets me know where my seed is. Now, there is still some good mango here on the sides, and so what I can do is just now that I have a nice flat surface, put it down flat on my board, and then I can just try to cut around some of that. And each mango is a little bit different, so you may not get a lot, but try to get what you can. Just, again, try to get the most out of your produce. All right, so got a little bit there. And this is pretty much just going to go in the trash or in your compost. So not much you can do with this unless you want to grow your own mango tree. Then you can certainly keep that. All right. So we have our beautiful halves of mangoes. And so at this point, we can now dice the mango. Some people like to hold the mango in their hand and put in a grid pattern going down. But this has a very sharp knife coming towards your hand. And so if you're not steady, you could end up cutting your cutting yourself and cutting your cooking knife, cutting it short. No pun intended. So another thing that you could do is just keep it steady on your cutting board and use that to just take your time and go through it. And when you start to run out of space, just turn it around. That's okay. You always want to make sure you can see that knife and where it is in front of you. So those are my initial cuts. And now what I'm going to do is just turn it perpendicular and go the other way. Again, keeping my hand in that claw pattern, going through it. And you can already see what is forming with that grid pattern. And so that way, all you have to do is now you can pop it out into that beautiful, which you probably have seen in restaurants and other places. That is the magic, and that is how they do it. From here, if you have a very nice soft mango, you can take a spoon and go underneath it. Or if you just want less things to clean later on, you can certainly go through with your knife and go underneath it slowly and remove that bottom part of that skin. And you will end up with your diced mango. Again, if you get to a spot where you're not comfortable with it in your hands, you can just turn it around and then go the other direction. And mango is a little bit slippery, so take your time. There is no need to rush because we want to make sure that you start and end with all of your fingers. And there you go. You may have a little bit left here, and that can sometimes just come right off, and you can finish up those dices. And then for these longer pieces, in case you were wondering what to do with these are also pretty easy. You can just glide your knife right underneath to get off that skin. And then once you have that, you can go back through and just use that rocking motion. And so that way these dices are pretty close in size to the dices that you did with the bigger piece. So, and that is how you can cut a mango for any delicious recipes or for any marinades or chutneys or anything that you want to do. That is a great way for you to easily dice your mango. Thanks so much for watching.